Hi, I'm Dr. Ignacio Ciampitti, a professor in the Department of Agronomy. And today we would like to discuss a little bit about the challenges that the farmers will have ahead of planting corn across the state. One of the things that we are collecting ideas from farmers and feedback is on the challenges on deciding on inputs for this 2022 growing season. And the main challenges are concerning related to waters and soil moisture in many of the soils in Kansas. Most of the soils at this point in the season are completely dry. In many places we have subsoil depletion of water. And if we look at the National Drought Monitor, we're seeing that still we are completely dry in many places of western part of the state, central part of the state. And the forecast projections for May, June, and July are giving us probabilities of being below normal precipitation and with really high temperatures. So when we think about all these scenarios and the challenges ahead, we have been conducting some research in the last years, looking at how we can use probabilistic models to decide inputs in corn. So here with me I have one of our PhD students, Josefina La Casa. She's working currently on using plant density and building these probabilistic models. So Josefina, tell us a little bit more about what your research entails in terms of deciding plant density and how we will be using this information for taking a decision on this challenge growing season.
So we used past season data to learn how corn usually behaves, like how yield responds to plant density. And this was in several different combinations of temperature and precipitation. So we know that for the given forecast that it's pretty likely that the precipitations are going to be below normal and the temperature is going to be above normal. That is a very good indicator that the farmers should reduce their seeding rate, probably around 5,000 seeds per acre.
So basically this research means that for a critical year like 2022, farmers will have the options to decide on what is the optimal plant density. One of the main messages that we always mention to farmers is not a number. Usually it's just a range of plant density, and then they have opportunities to cut back. In many situations, as Josefina mentioned, it could be between 3,000 or 5,000 seeds per acre, and still will not compromise the potential yields. Another critical component for farmers in 2022 is the application of nitrogen fertilizer for corn. Nitrogen has been increasing over time in the last decade, but the last year has suffered one of the largest increase. And then one of the questions that we have all the time is how much nitrogen is coming from the soil, how much fertilizer the farmers need to apply. So with that intention, we have here Dr. Correndo, that is a postdoc in our team. His research has been focused on trying to understand how much nitrogen is coming from the soil and really predict and build these models to really understand how much fertilizer we need to apply.
During the last couple of years, I've been investigating which are the critical factors that determine the maize yield or corn yield without nitrogen, and a couple of considerations and implications for this 22 season. First, one of the main factors determining yield without nitrogen is the previous crop. So this year is not a year for corn over corn. Please prioritize putting your corn on soybeans, or if you have an alfalfa last year, that will be ideal because that will boost your yields without nitrogen. That will reduce the gap between what the soil is providing per se and what is the potential yield at your locations. Another consideration is pay attention a lot on the moisture. This year is probably not ideal for broadcasting urea because with dry temperatures, no moisture to put that fertilizer inside our soil, which is where we need it for the crops to uptake the nitrogen. So this year, prioritize putting the nitrogen already in the soil, and if you have the opportunity to apply a liquid nitrogen, that will be ideal.
And to summarize, these probabilistic models are basically working on using past data, current data, and also looking at the forecast, one of the big factors being water supply, precipitations for the next month, and the temperature. So when you're thinking about deciding your inputs on your farms, think about these factors, think about that we are starting already really quite dry in many soils across the state, and we are forecasting for conditions that will be dry and heat. So playing conservative and looking at your inputs, seeding rates and nitrogen fertilizer for this growing season can be one of the big decisions for many farmers.